Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the January GM Norm Round Robin. This recap is actually going to cover the last two rounds, rounds 6 and 7. No, rounds 5 and 6. No, I don't even know the rounds. If some of you have been following this tournament, you might know the results of these games. Maybe not. I'm not gonna spoil anything. But the recap is called what it's called because, well, you'll find out. So last night, my opponent Jason Liang, E4 guy. And I decided to use my prep that I was going to use against Balaji for this game. And the reason is the French, so we have a French again. I figured Jason was going to spend his hour and a half before the game preparing my Caro Kann, and he plays knight c3. And like I mentioned in the Balaji recap, I keep drawing back to past videos. I don't know if y'all that means anything to you guys, but hopefully you guys consistently watch. Against Balaji, I went for knight f6 because he plays bishop g5, but Jason does this, and I wasn't in the mood for a Steinitz. So what did I do? I played a Wiener, bishop b4, very spicy, fun line, not improvising, because you can't improvise this, like you have to come somewhat prepared. He plays e5, this is a main line, and then here, rather than queen c7, knight e7, and there's a line where this queen gobbles your pawns, I played knight c6, and the point is that when the queen arrives here, you go g6, and so this is all my prep. I know that, you go queen a5, you put the queen on a4 to pressure this, and then you close the diagonal. It's a very, very complex and strange position. And I had different move orders prepared. He went with knight f3. I looked at h4. I looked at, that's really it. I mean, f4 is not a good move. It's knight f3, h4. He played knight f3. I went queen a5 attacking this. He went here. I went here. So now there's this pin. We know where it's a crazy line, like I told you. But like I said, this was all my notes. All this. Here, my notes had castles and h4 and rook a2. He chose to play this move. That's also a move. It's actually funny, with this move threatens something so random. And for the uninitiated, and by the way, if anyone's wondering why I didn't take on c2, if you take on c2 in this position, it's extremely dangerous. You give white the c5 pawn, so now you're not even a pawn up, and your queen's the only piece you basically have developed. This knight's not really involved, and white's just better here. It's pretty well known. So that's why you don't take. You actually don't really put this queen here to take unless you're going to take everything. You put it to pressure the center, make sure the diagonal stays closed. This move defends the queen, so now he's actually threatening to take on c5. It's actually funny. I can go here, and I can meet knight g5 with queen f5, and I can meet dc5 with queen e4, but I didn't know that. I didn't. So queen f4, I just went here, so now he can't take my pawn. And on knight g5, I was just going to go knight d8. I thought this was completely reasonable, and then I kick his knight out. Computer hates it. Computer thinks this is, like, idiotic to even have to back up with the knight. But the position's very closed, so it allows us to maneuver. So he plays rook a2. I play h6. Point of h6 is there is no more knight g5, and he plays h4. h4 is a very standard move. And the reason I named this recap what I named it is for this moment right here. The moment that you're about to see in this game is a microcosm of my first 5 rounds and a little bit into round 6, which just finished. So it's the fact that my opponents and I are looking at entirely different boards this tournament, and I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is. To be honest, I haven't worked so much less for this event than other events. You know what I mean? I work a bit, and for the other events I've worked a bit. I've worked more, but not drastically more. I don't know. Seasonal depression, anxiety. I definitely feel far more anxious, uncertain, doubtful. I don't know. Could be tied into a whole bunch of other stuff. I have no idea. But and some people I saw were calling that an excuse when it's just an analysis of myself as an individual. It's hardly an excuse. Okay, you're about to watch something very funny. So I was looking at h4 and I had an idea here. My first idea was just give him this pawn. Lock his queen in a box and try to get counterplay. I calculated this for a very long time, and I realized that even though I have tricks, he can't take, for example, because his queen is hit and this is hit. A rook is hit and the queen is hit. Can't do this. But he just gets out. So I was he just goes queen f4, g5, queen g4. I can sack two pawns. It looks like I'm gonna trap his queen. I'm not. In fact, his queen can just go there. And somehow he's completely safe. He's 2 pawns up. He makes out like a bandit in the night. And I have nothing. But I calculated it for 20 minutes. My brain was not working. I was looking at all these different ways. I was sitting there. And I'm like, yo, just go rook h7. What is wrong with you? Just play rook h7. You defend this and you're gonna castle, right? And then I had an idea. I was like, wait a minute, but he's gonna go knight h2. Knight h2s are really actually very, I've never seen this, and I never saw this in my notes. It's like, it looks very natural because you transfer the knight to f6. That looks like a good square. I'm like, well, it's good that I have my own knight on g8. So I don't have to move. I have a very solid structure. If he plays h5, I go g5. I'm going to keep this here. I'm going to castle. I'm going to rotate my knight to f5. And when it's time, I'm going to bring my queen back around. That's what I'm going to do because it's a closed position. I can afford that luxury, right? So I castle long. And I was anticipating knight g4, but he decided to castle now instead of... And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, So he's going to go here and here, right? Now, what I need to do, and I've seen strong players do this, is I need to play g5, even if it loses a pawn. So for example, take, queen g5, I'm going to go knight e7, I'm going to go rook g8. That is like the perfect position for black in this variation. And like, just so you understand, it can get very nasty, like very fast. Like, you bring the queen back, you bring the knight out, you bring all these pieces. Like, it's crazy how fast this attack can be for black. I'm thinking g5, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to play that right now. I mean, I don't have my knight out, I don't have my rook out. What if I play like knight e7, knight f5, rook g8, g5? You know, because I was already a little frustrated that I overthought this for so long. So I started thinking for a few minutes and I'm like, all right, dude, what are you calculating? Like, why do you have to play this move now? Just play knight e7, rook g8, and then play g5. And I played knight e7, and this is why I'm calling myself a clown, because the whole point of the knight going to g4 is to get here. Like, I played knight e7, I pressed the clock, and I literally forgot that the knight controls f6. Like, that my knight, which I wanted to move, controls f6. I mean, that's the whole point of the knight on g8. That's the kind of tournament I'm having. Just do this. You're gonna do it anyway. So you might as well do it before the knight is able to arrive, right? Before the knight is able to arrive. And the crazy thing is, I'm lost. Because if I go for g5 now, he doesn't have to give me this. That's the difference. He doesn't have to give it to me. He can just move back to h2. And now I'm going to lose my pawns, and the knight is going to get to f6, which means none of my pieces are going to get here. That's it. In fact, my best move after knight g4 was probably to go knight g8. And this might absolutely, well, I'm still much worse because I don't get to play g5 anymore. So if he gets the queenside attack before I can play g5, like, this is a totally different story. Now I'm never going to get here. Because if I try to do this again, the knight comes to f6. The difference the other way is that I had time. I was the one being the aggressor. I actually was going to get my rook here. And I mean, rook here, he just takes this run, right? So, yeah, when I played knight e7 and realized what I'd done, I just decided to try to crack open that side of the board anyway. But it's completely hopeless. He did a very good job here of just solidifying. So now, even though I get my rooks there, it's too little too late. And just, yeah, I mean, very nice. He also could have probably ended the game right here, I thought, by going like this. But I guess I can, like, defend by some miracle with knight g8. I mean, yeah. That's the entire game. That's, like, actually the entire game. Yeah, he played, like, rook h1. I mean, I tried to break out. He went queen e1. And, I mean, I just have no moves. I just have absolutely no moves. Yeah, I mean, the computer was trying to tell me I could, like, play on. But no. I refuse to believe that you can play on here. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like the computer is hesitating. But I went a6. And yeah, the cherry on top was that here I wanted to play rook g8, like this. And, you know, he's going to go bishop h6, and he's going to put some pressure on my position, like trying to, you know. And I took with the wrong rook. Like I'm not, I didn't blunder that this move existed. My hand took with the wrong rook. That is how surrendered I was to a defeat in this game. I mean, literally, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna lose. And I like, obviously your brain is like, he's gonna take the pawn if you take with the, and yeah, I took like this. That was, I guess, my brain's way of resigning. I don't know. I've never had something like that. I've never moved a piece wrong by accident. Never. That's never, ever happened to me. I mean, mouse slip, right? But this is over the board. So 1 out of 5. Confidence all-time low. This is the worst chess tournament I've probably. This is second. In Las Vegas in 2014, I was 0 out of my first 4 games. I lost my first 4 rounds, so that was definitely the worst. It's the only time in my life I've ever lost 4 games in a row, until perhaps Nicholas Theodorou defeats me as well in Game 6. So Theodorou is a King's Indian player. And we've played in Charlotte, we played in Vegas. I didn't want to play into a King's Indian. I just did not feel like it at all. Instead, I went for a Jobava London. And my reasoning is that if a man spends 99% of his time with knight f6, g6, you should get him into somewhere he does not. He won't know the theory, neither will I, but that's okay. And we're just going to play a game of chess. So that's what I decided to do. He plays g6 anyway. This is one way to play, and here we play h4. By the way, this variation is in my London course. Use the code New York. Click the link in the description. Yeah, 33% off. He plays h5. He doesn't allow me to play h5. See, if he castles and I play h5, this is very well known to be terrible for black, like lost. White sacks the rook, breaks through, winning. He played h5, I played queen d2. So queen d2 is like a meta brain move. It's a meta move because on knight f3, it's considered quite good for black to play bishop g4. I could have played knight f3 and then queen d2, but I decided to play queen d2 straight up. I didn't remember what to do, honestly. I was just going to play queen. I was going to go here and here. And I saw he had one game in the database against the Greek 2390, like some years ago, where he played c6 and b5. He just went like very belligerently on this side of the board. He was completely lost, Nicholas, and then he won. He was like -7. I mean, the position was +7 for white. And then he won. So I was like, okay, well, at least if he gets aggressive with me, like, that's not what you're supposed to do. That's not the best way to play the position. Naturally, he didn't get aggressive with me at all. He played the best way, which is to play c5. Yeah, so c5 is considered like the principled strike. If white plays in a slightly different way, like c5 like this, if the queen is not out yet, then dc is considered quite good. Because with the queen on d2, it becomes a bit of a target. But with it not on d2 and you're just kind of solid over here, yeah, but c5 is the critical move. And he played it in the game, so he played c5. I was really hoping he wouldn't, but he played c5, and I moved my knight to the middle. White can do a lot of stuff. White can take, white can castle. I decided to play knight e5. I was anticipating that he would put his bishop to f5. Or I was anticipating that he would play knight bd7. That's actually what I thought. But I guess that move isn't great. I really did not think he was going to play his next move. I did not think he was going to go knight c6 because the knight doesn't support the pawn here. Here I thought for a while. So obviously I calculated take, take, take. I rejected this because he goes knight d7, and even though I can hang on to my pawns, he rolls me. He just plays like this. He just the Death Star of pawns arrives, and even though I keep my pawn, he goes here, and I mean, I thought this was a horrible position for white. And I'm right. It's good. My brain actually turned back on. So I thought, okay, that doesn't make sense. And if I take on c6 and then I don't take again, what the hell am I doing? So I'm like, okay, I shouldn't take on c6. Then I thought about playing f3, just doing nothing, not allowing his knight to jump in. And I had to calculate knight e5, bishop e5. I had to calculate knight e5, d e5. I had to calculate takes, takes, and the queen arriving on b6. I just castle out of it, bishop f5 stuff. I had to calculate just playing bishop e2 with the intention to maybe put my bishop on f3 and also support a g4 push at some point. I also had to calculate taking right away. It's actually funny. I don't know why I didn't really consider this. I guess I thought takes, takes, knight e4 was good for him. Huh. I just missed this move, I guess, holding everything together. Interesting. Interesting. DC, knight e5, and like something like this, and queen d4, and somehow everything is protected. Of course, if I take, he can just go here. And again, you know, I can't hang on to everything. So I'm going to have to give up this and kill. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I mean, here I definitely didn't look at e4. So again, if black can get the Death Star rolling, I'm in really big trouble. And then I was like, what if I instigate with this knight? And I thought he was going to go bishop d7 here. So here I had to calculate. You get it. All right, you get it. This is why sometimes people spend 20 minutes. Not like last game because people are brain damaged. So I thought he was going to go bishop d7, and I was going to either castle or play f3 or even take, and then take on c5, because now he can't really do anything. I was calculating all this stuff, and then he just really surprised me. He took my knight. Now, first of all, I thought this move was just impossible, because I thought this, and I win this pawn. And then if he goes back this way, I can actually take his knight. So I'm going to take his knight, then take his pawn. But he showed me the idea. The idea is to go here and win my pawn back. And I suppose he thought I was going to try to trade queens, because if I try to take with my queen, he actually slides out of the way. And I saw this, and I thought this was extremely unpleasant, because now my queen's just a target for his initiative, right? Anytime your queen gets lost like this, you're going to get booted around a little bit. You're going to take some money out of the queen's pocket, right? So I thought, even though I guarded my pawn, this is unpleasant. Looks like I thought correctly, and I took with the knight. And I thought he was just going to go here. And my intention here was, to castle and maybe play e4. I really like this move. Oh, sorry. I was going to go bishop g5. Wow. I thought f6 was forced, but the computer is just saying, give up this pawn. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, interesting. I mean, maybe I would have seen that if he actually played knight takes e5 in the game, but wow, I thought bishop g5 was very annoying. If not bishop g5, then yeah, I mean, just rook d1, I can castle short. It's an interesting position. But e4 was my idea. Nice to know that I'm still stupid. But he played e6. I was thinking he was also going to go with his bishop. And then e4 is fine. Then he takes, I play rook d1, I castle, I bring my bishop back because now it's just not doing anything over there. And I thought, okay, we play chess. And he played here, and again, he surprised me. But not in a good way. In like I thought that move was bad way. But again, I'm 1 out of 5. My confidence is tanked. So every move he makes, I'm like, did I miss something? Because that's just what happens. That's just what happens at these tournaments. All right? You lose enough games, your confidence is completely in the shitter. So I'm like, all right, parents, sorry, you're going to have to explain to the kids what that means. They're going to learn one day, though. If they learn with Gotham, they learn chess, they learn cursing. Not a big deal. They're going to learn one day. So the reason why this is bad is I shoved the knight in his face. And if he takes with the bishop, I can't take the queen. Wait, I can? Oh my gosh. I can take the queen. And then I can trap his knight. Oh, I didn't see that at all. Wow. Stockfish is crazy. I was just gonna go here. I was just gonna get the 2 bishops. I just thought I'd go here, and I can't ever. I mean, I'm just better here. I have 2 bishops. But it turns out actually, wow. I thought he was gonna go for that. I also thought he was gonna go bishop takes f6, ef6, queen d2, and I thought he was gonna go for this variation. But the amazing thing about this is that even though it looks like he can win some of my pawns, like even king e1, but king e1. Like, he's not doing well here. He's not doing well. He's getting beat up by my bishops because he's so passive. So I was thinking he was going to go bishop f6, and then he played knight f6. And now I have takes bishop g5. So I pin him. I don't even take and give him back the pawn. And in my mind, I'm like, yo, am I like playing this game for a win? Because I do not see myself screwing this up. Stay tuned. Bishop d7. So I cannot take the bishop because he's going to take now with the rook and enter a losing endgame. He is going to take with a knight. And this is losing. 9 times out of 10, you should not give your opponent bishop and knight for a rook. You just should not do it. You just should not do it. You will lose this in the long run because they have 3 active pieces. So we have to go to an opposite colored bishop endgame. He plays rook e8. Now, kind of interesting here. The only variation we discussed after the game in the elevator. I thought he was going to go rook d5. I realized that that's just not a good move because I can get here and then, shockingly, I just defend this pawn forever. And he's going to get his rook trapped. Look at this. If he tries to hang on, he gets his rook boxed in. That would be hilarious, but that did not happen. So he played rook e8. Here I calculated the absolutely insane bishop f6, e5, he's going to try to come here, g4. If he plays rook e6, I play g5, and now I'm winning. So he has to take, at which point I play h5. Rook e6, hg, with the idea of rook h8 mate. He takes my bishop, I have rook h8, king g7, rook a8, I'm winning! I'm actually losing. g3. He is threatening to take and promote. And if I go here, rook f1 with his bishop. Incredible. And I lose my rook. And I'm completely lost. g3 is a killing move. And I calculated this. I was actually very proud of this. This is the only thing we discussed after the game. He was like, did you consider g4? And he told me that he was thinking from a distance to play king h7 in this position, which is equal. It's fine for black. Takes, and he's okay. I told him it's losing, and we didn't have a chance to discuss because he went up to the 15th floor or something, and I got off at the ground level. Yeah, this is, well, Nicholas, if you watch the recap, then, well, now you know. This is what I saw. And, you know, it's kind of nice to see that from here, because you have to calculate bishop f6, e5, g4, hg, h5, rook e6, hg, rook f6, rook h8, king g7, rook there, and then g3 at the end. That is very hard. Imagine all of that moving, right? So I know I'm not that trash. I know I'm not that trash. I calculated that and I realized that it's no good. So then I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to castle. He's going to take my pawn, because if that doesn't work, then I'm not going to be able to defend my pawn. All right. And here, folks, I should have just played rook d2, rook here, draw agreed, game over, everybody goes home. Opposite colored bishops, symmetrical rook, symmetrical structure. But I thought, man, that's exactly what an IM doing, playing a crappy tournament would want. And then I was like, would Magnus play this for a win? I don't know. I've never spoken to Magnus in my life. Frankly, I think he wants to keep it that way. Yeah, I don't know. Would Magnus try to play this for a win against like a 2400? He's not 2400, my opponent, but like against me? Probably. So I sacked a pawn. And it's still equal. It's still equal. And my idea was, opposite colored bishops, I kill all his pawn play. So he can't move his pawn. I control the open file, right? He'll never be able to trade with me, and I'm happy. And then he played rook f8. And my original idea here was just f3, rook e1, slowly but surely, blah, blah, blah. But I got scared of e4. I didn't see this move when I sacrificed my pawn. Nobody wants a pawn. We're both trying to sack. And if fe4, rook f2, and I really didn't like this. And suddenly I started, Gotham, you idiot. I don't call myself Gotham. That would be weird. I was like, Gotham, you idiot. Neither does Lucy, by the way. Like, that would be very strange. My mom calls me Gotham, though. Rook f2, she doesn't. Rook f2 is so annoying. I'm like, why did I give him this? Go back a couple moves. He has no play. Why did I allow him this? Right? So one mistake follows the other. Rook d2, another inaccuracy. And what I had calculated was bishop c6, rook e1, bishop g2, rook e5, and he would defend his pawn and put the bishop on f5. But I'm a clown, remember? So I forgot that he has this. I forgot that he shuts the door on everything. And my original idea was b3, b5, and maybe c4 anyway, right? So just like worst comes to worst, I just take all his pawns. I'm a pawn down, opposite colored bishops. I shouldn't lose this. But he played c4 himself, which I forgot about. I forgot he can play it himself. And at this point, I went from equal time, dead equal position. I could have already been home and hanging out with Lucy, to like a moment of like real darkness. The emotions you experience in over the board game, only people who like have played it and have experienced it know what I'm talking about. I really was like, I'm gonna lose this game. Like I have to start coming to terms with it, you know? Where 3 moves ago, if I offered Nicholas a draw, I mean, maybe he wouldn't have taken it because he has no respect for me and he would have just assumed I would have lost the game. I would have imagined if I played a rook d2 and offered a draw, he would have taken it. Maybe he would have played 5-10 more moves. Yeah, c4, and I was like, oh, that's it. That's the end of the game. And I probably spent about 6 minutes on this move, wanting to just like get up and like go. Just let the time run out. You would never hear from me again. But I decided to take the pawn. There's so many ways you can go wrong here, like rook d4, b5, rook c8, black just already playing for a win. So I decided I'm gonna trade rooks, and I'm gonna play king b2. And this dude has to beat me in this game. And I'm gonna actually pull up in this game when what the time situation was when I did this. So I had 5 minutes and he had 22. Like we just had 20 minutes each. It's 5 and it's 22. He plays bishop d5. So rook trades are probably going to be okay for me as long as I don't allow his king to get super active. And opposite colored bishops are most likely going to be a draw. But I have to do it correctly, right? So he goes rook b7. His idea is try to bring the rook out. And he understands that with low time, I'm going to try to simplify the game. So I'm going to try to play a move like rook c7. Now, king f6, rook c7, takes, king f5, or even king f5 right away, and something like this. You know, takes, bishop g5. He's going to come with his king. He's going to come with his pawn. So I need to keep my bishop on a square. It monitors his g-pawn. Why? Because if I try to defend from this side, from, let's say, the other side, I lose. Because my pawn, right? Not to mention, g5 is another idea. So he has an idea to crack open my h-pawn, my loner h-pawn, which is why I need to keep my bishop on g5. Like, it has to monitor that, right? So we shuffle. He starts pushing his pawns. The whole time I'm like, oh, I'm totally gonna lose. And right here, I thought I'm gonna lose again because I allowed him to go e5. I can't let him do this. I can't let him get active. I'm like, okay, the game is over, but I'm gonna keep playing. Rook c8, king e6, and I'm like, wait. He's letting me draw. Rook e8, king f5, rook e7, oh my god. But I'm not 100% sure it's a draw because he advanced his pawns. He's gonna put his king here, and at some point he's gonna play e4 and g5. And he goes for it. He goes for this endgame, right? So I play bishop g5 back. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I should have played king c1 and let him come here. But that's impossible to do as a human. And the computer wants me to just give this up completely. Oh, wow. Like this. And he can't make any progress. Yeah, but that's stupid. I mean, I don't know. That's really stupid. So bishop g5, bishop e3. I told you this was my defensive setup. He plays a5. Now, I played king c3. And this whole time I'm thinking he's going to go here because, again, if I play bishop takes g5, king f2, and he promotes. But he plays a very good move. This is such a good move because I have no moves. I have nothing. If I go back to b2, I walk away from the e-pawn. I probably lose the game after g5. At least I thought. I thought I just lose because I'm bringing my king further away, right? And I might allow some crazy thing like this, where now there's two passed pawns and I'm probably losing. This looks terrifying to defend with no time, right? So I play bishop b6. My idea with bishop b6, he has to go for g5 now. Because if he plays a4, then he can't ever break through on the queen side. I just go back to chilling. You know, he can't win this position, was my logic. It turns out that g5 now is not the best move, but b4 is. But not because of a4. Not because of a4. Because of ab. This is what I was told. This is insane to find. I mean, with no time on the clock. Now g5. And now h takes g5, h4. And if bishop c7 to try to get here, e4. Now my king is too far by one square. So king c3, something like king f2, king d4, e3, black wins. So he has to take on b4. Actually, if he plays a4, I think I'm winning. Like, I think I have opportunities to win the game with my b-pawn. It's completely nuts. So he played g5, I took, and I think now he can play b4, I think. Right now. He has to go for this b4 idea at some point. So he has to play b4. AB. That's the only way he can win. But he plays h4. I play bishop c7. He still has to play b4. AB. The only thing he has to take. It's crazy because if he plays like this, I'm winning because I have two passed pawns. So he gave me two passed pawns as well. It's a completely insane endgame. So he plays e4. Because what are you going to do? Why would you lose the pawn, right? Why would you lose the pawn? I'm still going to defend the diagonal. But b4 is winning. And now it's a draw because I bring my king. And the way you draw this is my bishop always monitors this. And I'm going to bring my king back, sack my g-pawn, and win one of his pawns. And that's exactly what I do. So I bring my king back. I go to sack my g-pawn. And he chooses not to even bring the king over there. And this is a draw because even if I lose my bishop for the pawn, if I get my king to this corner, it's a draw. So at the end of the day, even that is a draw because the pawn is on the wrong color. The corner has to be the right color as the bishop. So, oh my god, folks. Yeah. Disaster avoided in this game. And I've got to prepare for my next round. But yeah. I'll see you all for round number 7. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.